Cassie, right?
Mm-hmm. Cassie.
Sweet. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Again, I'm in Ballard, just trying to connect some people.
Sure.
Trying to say, who are you? Because there's so much dehumanization because people live in different ways.
Right.
You know, so I'm trying to go, this is Cassie, and she has a story. So I start, Cassie, tell me about yourself. Where were you born and raised?
Well, I was born in Kirkland, Washington, born and raised in the Pacific Northwest my entire life. I'm 31 years old, you know, young, I guess you could say. And I grew up mostly in Marysville, so up north. And let's say, I guess, you know, after high school and everything, I actually had ended up getting my GED. I did kind of go through a rough spot through high school, but, you know, I got past that. And I actually met my now husband, or whom I shared my life with, when I was 21, when I was 21 at Kentucky Fried Chicken. We worked together. And so we started kind of building a life together at that time. And I mean, we're still together now, but let's say fast forward, you know, after we got our apartment and we worked, I mean, he worked as a restaurant manager. He stuck with them. I graduated college, got a corporate job, working for a medical supply company. I worked there for 5 years, and you know, I liked it, but mostly just for the people that I got to speak with, as far as customers or patients, we like to call them, dealing with medical issues and all that. I found it enjoying for that manner, but we found ourselves, I guess, more than anything, I guess. Well, first I lost my mother in 2019, and in 2020, I think it all kind of hit us with COVID more than anything. And so at that point, it kind of slow rolled from there, and what brought me to living on the streets of Ballard, really, I guess you could say. I mean, that was kind of the very beginning, if I look back on it.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, please.
So, I want to back up a little bit.
Yeah.
I do want to hear that story.
Sure.
I want to explore that a little bit more.
Yeah.
But growing up, you have siblings?
So no, I grew up mostly just with my mom.
Okay, so your
It was
mom.
just me and my mom. I had my dad, but I lived primarily with my mom my whole life, so she was like my best friend.
Gotcha.
You know.
And well, how would you describe your home life?
It could be hectic, but I would say all in all, I had a really good childhood.
Yeah.
I had a lot of different family. It was definitely not ordinary, to say the least, as far as everything that I kind of, I guess, went through as I had grown up having a dad who raised me, but finding out that I actually had a different biological father when I was 8 years old. So that was kind of a big thing, but you know, that was like me and my mom, like I said, we were very, very close, and she was my main person, but I still, you know, maintained actually close relationships with not only both of those fathers, but also a stepfather as well.
Okay.
So I could say I was a very loved child, you know,
right.
lucky in that manner.
And you said in high school it was a little shakier. I don't know what the term you used.
Yeah, a rough patch, I guess I could say. Or I don't know if that was the term I used for that specific moment in time, but I think that was what it was. I guess I had troubles at home. My mom was an alcoholic, you know, so I mean that definitely was a big thing. Not that she wasn't amazing. I mean, she worked her butt off, you know, she worked construction. She always made sure she'd do whatever she needed to do to make sure I was taken care of. But needless to say, you know, there was definitely things that were hectic at home that caused troubles, I believe, maybe in my schooling. But a lot of it, I have to also attest and take accountability as my own choices, you know, as well. So, but all in all, it's all built me to be who I am today. So
So you did high school, you did college.
Mm-hmm. I went to community college.
Got a corporate job.
Yep.
And let's talk about that transition. Well, sorry about your mom.
Oh, it's okay.
In 2019.
Yes.
Yep. And then 2020 hits.
Yep. Yeah.
Tell me about that process, I guess.
So that was, with my mother, that put me and my husband, through a lot. We had just gotten engaged at that time.
Okay.
So in the end of 2018.
Okay.
So in early 2019, when she passed away, that was definitely really hard for both of us, of course, on me, but him helping support me in that manner, and then he was close with her as well. So it definitely took a toll on us. We actually ended up splitting up for a year in April of 2020. He had lost his job. He was on unemployment. I was working from home, which put a whole new spin on things. That was definitely a dynamic that, with already, things kind of not, as we all go through things and troubles in our relationships or however, now we're stuck in the house together.
Yeah.
So that was a whole new.
Wait, so you guys were broken up in a house together?
So we ended up. We were stuck in the house together, then resulting in us splitting up. I apologize.
Yeah. I don't think you're alone in that scenario either. I mean,
right.
Lots of people, I think.
Right.
Didn't
Far
make
too
it.
many.
Yeah. The relationship suffered.
Yeah, most definitely. And so we did split up for 1 year, and when we got back together, I still was working. He was actually still on unemployment, but we decided I was going to move out of the apartment I was in for the 1 year. We were apart, and he had to as well, and where he was at living, and so we decided, we were up in Everett at the time, so we moved down to Belltown. I found an apartment down there, and it's a new environment, new experience, and we came back together, and we actually ended up living there for 3 years. Well, as exciting as it was, 3 weeks after I moved in, I lost my job. So that was a whole new thing. I had, car payments, new rent payments. Thank God he still did get his unemployment at the time. I had a vehicle at the time, so I started doing DoorDash, whatever I could, while trying to file for unemployment myself. And so, it was just kind of when one thing kind of started coming towards the end, let's say like his unemployment started coming towards an end in the end of 2021, mine, came in. And so that kind of helped us afloat.
Yeah, float you go along.
Exactly. And then just working side jobs, just temporary gigs with InstaWork and doing the Instacart, the grocery deliveries and this and that. Living in the city at least, it was pretty financially, steady. So that was pretty cool. That was definitely, like I said, new experience, and it really did. So anywho.
So things are working. Things are moving. You're in an apartment. Like
exactly.
You're just jamming like in life.
Right. Well, I guess fast forward, everything, kind of when it's just like one thing after another, we're trying to, when one thing's ending and we're just picking it up by the hair of our chinny chin chin, or however you want to say it, there in light eventually, obviously issues with paying our rent, things came up short, and last October we were evicted, so then we found ourselves kind of like, what do we do? Trying to reach out to different resources and, with also trying to swallow our pride.
Tell me about that piece. Like, did you have friends, family that you reached out to? Or could have, or I don't know. What was that like?
We did. But at the same time, we had also been a little estranged from some of our friends and family. When we came back together, we kind of focused primarily on him and I only.
Right.
We had a lot of, kind of flack a little bit due to, previous things that had went on, but we knew deep down, our families would be there if we needed them to be. We just, again, that pride came into play, and we just decided, we weren't going to reach out for that at that time, and that we could do it. We had it taken care of. And although, trying to reach out and everything, as soon as we were on the streets, it was such a different ball game.
So when you got evicted,
we went directly to the streets.
For the first time.
Yeah, I guess we stayed with a friend for the first month, let's say. It was off and on. We had a couple different friends we could stay with.
Couch surf around.
Exactly. And finally, we just felt like, you know what, we gotta kind of find something independently, and there's a lot of resources out here. That is one thing that I definitely have to say is there's no lack of, but just the process of trying to get the ball rolling and to not fall into that gray area.
Within the resources, you mean?
Yeah, yes.
Tell me about that, because I think a lot of people don't know about that piece of, there's tons of resources, but what's it like actually receiving them, I guess, is
exactly.
the word.
So, because you hear about, there's tiny homes, there's the pallet houses, there's Seattle housing, there's all of these things, and they're all being funded, but you kind of almost have to, from my experience, you had to be in the right place at the right time, and I feel like if we were to have chosen to be somewhere less populated with, other than, let's say, Leary Way, where there was a lot of people all kind of staying in one area, I don't know if we probably would have fallen in that gray area, to be honest. Because I've known many people that have, I wasn't there, nobody showed up when they swept us, nobody showed up to offer us anything, and not that, maybe they wouldn't have, but I just don't think that there was as much notification of it, just because it wasn't right in the eye of everything, so.
Gotcha.
But I feel so let's say, October we were evicted.
Yeah. Couch surf a little bit.
Yep. And then, it's getting cold. It's getting cold.
Yes.
That's for sure. Staying warm and all of that, and trying to figure it all out, it was definitely troubling, but it almost was just, it was humbling.
Did you have a car at this time?
I apologize. Yeah, I kind of missed that. So, our car actually was totaled in 2022. Okay. So a year before we were evicted. So for that last year, I was actually working doing DoorDash and Uber Eats on my bicycle.
Okay, gotcha.
So,
bicycle.
Yeah.
I see. Gotcha.
Yeah. So that was yeah.
And so you have you have an apartment full of stuff.
Yeah.
Where does that all go?
We had to leave most of it behind.
Like when you got evicted, you just left it in the apartment?
Some of it, yeah. The manager was actually really accommodating with, and she was really worked with me a lot. She knew that I had tried to do a lot of what I could do, and she worked with me a lot during the whole process. But at the end of the day, things have to go the way that they have to go. So we do have one good friend that was able to help us with her car, and she's held on to our things through these last 4 or 5 months. She still has them because she knows a lot of them were my mom's things. So so she definitely was, super supportive and helpful, and I appreciate her beyond what I could even explain. So, because I know if it would have been out, I would have lost it by now.
And so, I guess so October, November, December, January, or at the end of January, and when did you first get in a tent? Like you're like, we gotta get it. We're gonna live in a tent.
So, so we actually didn't get a tent until it was about 3 weeks ago.
What were you guys?
It was right after Christmas. Yeah, right after Christmas. It was between Christmas and the first of the year. So somewhere, I can't remember exactly what day, but I remember we had some people that would let us stay, but some nights, a lot of the time we were just sleeping outside. There was kind of over by the boat launch, there was 2 people that we had become, relatively, I guess close acquaintances with, that lived in their RVs over there. When it got really cold, sometimes they let us come in at night, but there was just like a little stoop behind a business, and it had cover, because there was a couple nights where we fell asleep and woke up and it had been raining. That was not well prepared. That was probably like the least fun. but you know, we made it through, obviously. But we just slept on the sidewalk. I mean, we had blankets. There's the Seattle Gospel Mission that would come out, bring blankets and things whenever we had that opportunity, most definitely. But we all know in Seattle, when it rains, it pours, you know.
Yeah,
so it's hard to keep things dry sometimes.
Yeah.
And then we finally were blessed with you know, we'd had a couple of people here and there before we actually got a tent from a friend of ours. We had a couple of people that had said, you know, they'd be able to, but, you know, just this, you know, trying to connect, and our phone was stolen a few weeks, you know, or about a month ago now. So, you know, trying to connect with people to get things done like that has been difficult.
Right.
So, but we finally were blessed with a tent right after Christmas, actually, and that was nice. That was definitely cool. That was something we were very lucky to have. For a short period of time, we had actually found it was just something I think someone was trying to throw away. We seen it out next to it. It was next to a dumpster actually, but it was a giant canvas bag, and as silly as it sounds, I mean, it was good shelter and with that and a tarp. I mean, we were able to at least stay dry. So, you know, you kind of make do with what you almost MacGyver, if you will. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like survival, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Use what resources you have.
Exactly.
And in Seattle, people throw away stuff all the time.
Oh yeah.
And leave stuff on the sidewalks all the time.
All the time.
And so yeah. You got to do what you got to do.
Totally.
And so let's talk about your current situation.
So we Bruce is a gentleman that he comes out, man, and he has been an advocate beyond all belief, and I know that, you know, he just does it not for any type of voice thing, but I mean, I just have to say I know that he did it without me even asking, man, and him and I had a good rapport with each other, you know, just kind of saw him coming around. He comes out and talks to everybody at around noon every day, and he does it on his own accord. He's not with an entity or anything, but really good person. He helped coordinate. He knew that our tent was actually not on Leary Way. It was just on the corner of Leary and Ballard Way, and for some reason we were told by the city we had to move ours over to Leary, or, you know, we just couldn't have it right there on that road. We're like, okay, understood. But as soon as, you know, he kind of caught wind of that, I know he kind of put the word in, because the next day there was a gentleman named Adam who had a intake set up for us to go to the Inner Bay tiny homes. So that was really cool.
Great.
Yeah.
So you guys are transitioning there.
Yeah.
Hopefully tomorrow?
No, we've actually been there.
Great.
I took my first shower there yesterday. That was
great.
awesome.
Great.
Yeah. I felt more like a human than I have, and I've got to say, like a couple months.
Yeah.
So it was awesome.
That piece, I was talking to somebody over there about just having a space to put your stuff and be able to close the door and just
lock it.
And lock it. Going to be able to take a shower.
Right.
And we talked about how that just gives you that sense of, like, humanity.
Right.
Like, why? What is that?
I mean, I guess you just don't really think about it until you go through it. Because I mean, I've fallen on rough times in my life before, but not like this. You know, it was. I mean, I literally had dirt in the cracks of my hands that I couldn't get out with a baby wipe. You know, baby wipes were the core of one good staple you would want if you lived out here. You know, and it was, I don't know, just that. Not just a shower, but let me tell you, the other thing that I noticed, and I was telling my husband this because I was like, it's the little things, you know. It was, I could get up and go walk over to the kitchen area and heat up a cup of water so that we could make instant oatmeal. And I was like, man, I've spent entire days looking for things to build a fire with so that I could try and boil some water so I could do this exact same thing. An entire 8-hour day I've spent doing that.
Which took 5 minutes.
5 minutes, yeah. 3 minutes to take the water, 1 minute to walk there, 1 minute to walk back.
Right.
And, you know, it was just...
Well, I think a lot of folks don't know, right, if you're living on the street in a tent, how do I get boiling water? What do I do to make that happen?
I mean, you have to find something. There's a lot of different ways you could do it. You know,
Right.
I mean, for me personally, I had a metal cup that I found that I cleaned out with hand sanitizer, whatever I could find.
Yeah.
You know, baby wipes, however you will, or you know, you get hygiene supplies. You know. There's actually one way to get water, you know, obviously boil it first, but over here at the Dockside Cannabis, they actually collect rainwater in a giant barrel.
Right.
And I'd actually asked them one time if it's okay if I filled up a couple of things, and they, you know, advised not to drink it, of course.
Right.
I was like, okay, well, cool though, it's rainwater, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that was how I got water a few different times, other than just, you know, the food bank, the Ballard Food Bank, amazing resource.
Yeah.
So, but
just those things, like, you know, just to get a cup of boiling water, and then you go times how many? 50, 100 of those little things that you got to try and like,
I mean,
do?
whether you're using wood or using, let's say, rubbing alcohol or hand sanitizer to build a fire.
Right.
Whatever what are you going to contain your fire in? You know, is it going to be aluminum foil? Is it going to be a dish? Is it going to be, you know, just, something? Or are you just going to set up rocks? You know, dig a hole. You know, I've done that. So, you know, trying to abide by the city rules as well. I've actually gotten a list one time from the firefighters. We didn't have a big fire or anything, but we had found some wood, and it looked like to be a fire pit, but they came by and they were super nice about it, and I was just like, they asked if we wanted a list, and I was like, actually, that'd be awesome, because, you know, I don't want to go against the rules. I don't want to I don't want to get in trouble. I just want to either stay warm or do whatever I need to do.
Sure.
Yeah, so.
Yeah,
cool.
I don't know that list.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. You're in a tiny home, you and your husband.
Yep.
But you guys have a tent here.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
We came out today to take it down.
Gotcha.
Because they're going to be taking everything down tomorrow morning or tomorrow during the day. Yeah, they'll probably be here early. But you know, they were really, you know, it was really like a civil and you know, okay experience. Like when we were there Friday when we had to take all of our things down, you know, they accommodated any garbage bags. You know, again, we were the only ones because everybody else was on the other road. But it was fine. We were blessed that day too. Somebody had offered a ride for us because we had been trying for about a week and a half. We had already had the tiny home set up, but trying to take things you can't take. We tried to load up our wagon one day. We had like a radio flyer wagon, and we couldn't take it on the bus.
Right.
But it can't take a shopping cart. I mean, it sounds so silly. I feel like I sound silly when I'm like, I've got a shopping cart full of my stuff, you know. But I mean, honestly, yeah. I mean, that's kind of what we had all of our belongings in at one point, you know, and
you couldn't get it to the tiny home.
Yeah, we couldn't get it to the tiny home.
There's a barrier there.
Exactly, and not wanting to leave too many things here, or you know, not being able to have anything. And I hate to say not having anyone reliable, just not making that communication, you know, solid enough for us to feel comfortable to say, hey, okay, we'll be back, you know, so, but, you know, we actually, so like I said, we were able to get a ride last Friday after we because we had kind of a tarp shelter around our tent, kind of, so we could build fires in there and, you know, actually keep it pretty warm in there. So we took that down, and then now we just have the tent there. But that's what we're here to do today. So yeah.
Cassie, is there anything you'd want to say to the people of Seattle?
I just want to say that, you know, no matter what people look like or what, you know, it may seem that, you know, I feel like, okay, let me rephrase this, restart, because I feel like there has definitely been times where, you know, I mean, there's people that have driven by and yelled out their window, "You dirty animals." You know what I mean? It's like once upon a time, I mean, there wasn't a, you know, I was such a, you know, I kept such a nice home, you know, and that was something that I really took a lot of pride in, you know, and I never, you know, ever, we're all two choices away from being in that situation, or 2 steps from being in that situation, whether it's, you know, a conscious decision or not. You know, sometimes you find yourself in survival mode, maybe kind of like you were saying, and, You know, you just have to do what you need to do. But I just say, I guess, to the people of Seattle, just, you know, try and be kind. And if, you know, like we were taught when we were little, if you don't have anything nice to say, maybe just, you know, as long as it's not affecting you directly, and just, you know, pass on by, because it will eventually come to an end, as it is now, you know. But there will always be, you know, every day there's people losing their jobs. Every day there's people losing their homes, whether it's their apartments or their actual, you know, physical homes, bank foreclosures, things like that, you know. People find the stories of everybody that I've met. I mean, each and every person that I've, you know, become acquainted with out here has such a different story. It's not anywhere near the same. So, you know.
Yeah, I think, I hope homelessness goes away.
Right.
Ideally.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, it's like, it doesn't seem that way.
And there's, you know, there's going to always be that group, I think, as well, of people that, number one, maybe enjoy the feeling free as a bird, and that's, you know, and that's okay. That's not a huge majority of them. And there's also a section of people that, you know, need help with maybe mental illnesses and things like that. That's going to be part of it as well. But, you know, I think the city of Seattle, as it is, I mean, has come a long way with what they've done as far as putting money into things and allow, like, the tiny homes. I think it's awesome. Yeah. And you know, I'm sure, you know, things will, you know, hopefully only get better. You know, as long as it can go down and not go up, then I think we're in good hand, you know.
It's a hope.
Good way. Yeah. So.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your time. And
yeah, thank you for taking
it's good to
the
hear your
time as
voice.
well. Yeah, most definitely. Thank you.
I'm gonna grab that little mic, take a couple photos.